Coming up this month, it's Inception on acid in Doctor Strange, Mark Wahlberg blows up an oil rig in Deepwater Horizon, a soldier wins a medal without picking up a gun in Hacksaw Ridge, Ang Lee tries high frame rate in Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, Hugh Jackman bids farewell to Wolverine in Logan, and Apocalypse Now meets monsters in Kong Skull Island. Welcome to my monthly movie wrap, where we discuss the latest disc and cinema releases. Kicking things off, we have Doctor Strange. This is the latest entry in Marvel's cinematic universe, and stars Benedict Cumberbatch as the sorcerer of the title, and also Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. This is a fun origin story with a great plot, an excellent cast and some very trippy visuals. Though the film was converted into 3D in post-production, this is one movie that really benefits from the third dimension, especially when you consider the multidimensional aspects of its storyline. Unfortunately, one thing that isn't multidimensional is the audio. Disney have yet to support either Dolby Atmos or DTS:X, and they also don't yet support Ultra HD 4K Blu-ray. However, the Blu-ray itself is referenced through and through, with both a 3D and a 2D version of the film. The 2D version of the film is presented in a 2.4:1 aspect ratio, whilst the 3D version actually opens out to 1.9:1 in certain scenes in the film. It uses a 7.1 channel DTS HD Master Audio soundtrack and includes an excellent set of extras, making this one trip that's definitely worth taking. Next up, we have Deepwater Horizon, which tells the true story of the oil rig that exploded and the efforts of the crew to save both themselves and their colleagues. The film stars Mark Wahlberg, who heads up a solid cast that also includes Kurt Russell. It was directed by Peter Berg, who does an excellent job of delivering heart-pounding action that really places you on the rig as all hell breaks loose. The film wisely concentrates on a core group of characters so you can fully empathise with their plight. This is an excellent Ultra HD Blu-ray. It was shot at the resolution of 3.4K and finished using a 2K DI, but the inclusion of high dynamic range and a wider colour gamut really place you on that rig and create a visceral and realistic experience, whilst the Dolby Atmos soundtrack is absolutely stunning and totally immerses you in the drama on board the rig. The film includes a very good selection of extras that also includes a making of documentary and also information about the real people involved and the heroes of the actual day, and makes this a fitting tribute. Next up, we have Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. This film's only just opened in the cinemas at the UK, but is already available on Ultra HD Blu-ray in the US. It was directed by Ang Lee, who has a habit of never making the same film twice, and this time he addresses the US involvement in the Middle East. The film takes the structure of a halftime show at a Thanksgiving football match where Billy Lynn, a decorated soldier, and his comrades are taking part. During the halftime show, Lynn flashes back to his experiences in Iraq. It's not the most compelling film, but what makes this interesting is Ang Lee's decision to use high frame rate. The film is actually shot in 3D at 4K and at 120 frames per second. It's certainly an interesting experiment, but the reality is that the use of a higher frame rate does take you out of the film because it no longer looks like a film. However, the image is incredibly detailed and it's an absolutely stunning looking Ultra HD Blu-ray, thanks to both the 4K resolution, the 60 frames per second frame rate they use on the disc, and also the high dynamic range and wider colour gamut, whilst the Dolby Atmos soundtrack is very immersive and extremely directional, really adding to a sense of placing you in this hyper sense of reality. The extras are interesting, particularly the stuff that talks about the use of higher frame rate, and overall it's an interesting disc, but possibly a failed experiment. Our final disc this month is Hacksaw Ridge, which is another film that's just opened at UK cinemas but is already available on disc in the US. It tells the true story of Desmond Doss, played by Andrew Garfield, who was a conscientious objector during World War II, but was awarded the Medal of Honor for his bravery at the Battle of Okinawa, despite never firing his weapon. The film was directed by Mel Gibson, and it's a real return to form for him, with a great story, a fantastic cast and some really visceral battle scenes. The Ultra HD Blu-ray is equally as good looking as the film itself, with a lovely image that was shot at 3.4K and finished using a 2K DI. The addition of HDR and a wider colour gamut really add to the image and it looks absolutely gorgeous, whilst the Dolby Atmos soundtrack is amazing and will have you ducking for cover. The inclusion of an excellent making-of documentary really rounds out this disc and makes it our choice of the month. In terms of cinema releases, there are a couple of interesting movies to discuss this month. First of all, we have Logan, which sees Hugh Jackman bid farewell to the role that made him famous. However, this is a very different Wolverine movie. Although it's set in the near future, it's more of a Western, and it includes strong language and explicit violence, giving it a much more adult tone. It also has references to both Unforgiven and Shane in it, and it has an ageing Wolverine facing up to his own mortality and the consequences of his violent actions. In the film, he must protect a young girl and an ageing Professor X with dementia from a gang of enhanced mercenaries. Patrick Stewart is absolutely superb in this film as Professor X, and the film is a fitting farewell to both the actors and the characters they play. And finally, we have Kong: Skull Island. This is the latest attempt to reboot the King Kong story, 12 years after Peter Jackson's love letter to the original 1933 film. This time, it's set during the Vietnam War and takes place in the same universe as the Godzilla reboot from 2014. It stars Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson and Oscar winner Brie Larson, and it looks like it might be an interesting film with plenty of 70s period detail and an eclectic cast. There's lots of action in the trailer, and if it's a success, we can expect to see King Kong vs Godzilla in 2019. The film's actually had some fairly scathing reviews, but judge for yourself when it opens on the 9th of March. So that's it for this month. Keep buying discs, keep going to the cinema, and don't forget to leave any feedback in the thread. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next month.